The NFL season is finally upon us. I've already done season predictions, but I want to do weekly predictions for every single week in the NFL, starting with week 1. And week 1 is starting today from when this video is being recorded. I am recording this very late, so we need to get this done quick. So for tonight's game, it's the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Two very different teams. Cowboys, small brain. Eagles, big brain. In other words, the Eagles managed their roster very well in order to keep their Super Bowl contending status. The Cowboys, on the other hand, did not do that by selling their literal best defensive player the week the season starts. Not before the draft, not maybe a little bit after the draft, before training camp, maybe not even a few weeks before the season. No, we had to go through all of training camp with Micah Parsons on our team and to not have him. So now you have to scramble. I think you know who I'm going to pick. I'm picking the Eagles. The next game will happen on Friday in Brazil. Chiefs versus Chargers. Divisional matchup, we see this every year. I mean, you got two interesting storylines here. The Chiefs, they are looking a bit vulnerable. Their strategy of not worrying about the offense finally caught up to them when their defense couldn't bail them out in the Super Bowl when they got absolutely dominated. They didn't really look good all season last year, despite going 15-2. I mean, they were like 7 plays away from like 9-8. The Los Angeles Chargers, on the other hand, they made some improvements to their wide receiver core. They added some rookies in there. They added Amarian Hampton. Probably will be explosive in the backfield. Slight issue, though. They lost Rashawn Slater for the season. That's going to be really tough on their offense because there are a lot of advanced stats out there showing that there is a significant difference when Rashawn Slater's on the field versus when he's not. That's going to put a little bit of a hamper on the Chargers season. I still think they're going to be good this year, but the Chiefs at least win week 1. The next matchup is yet another divisional matchup. There's going to be a lot of these this week. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. This is an interesting one. The Falcons, I mean, they're like on the verge of breaking out every season, but they never do it. And the Buccaneers, probably one of the higher floor teams in the NFL. Maybe not the highest ceiling, but definitely a very high floor. The one major question about the Buccaneers is their new offensive coordinator, Josh Grizzard. The Buccaneers have had a different offensive coordinator for the past 3 years. It was Byron Leftwich, then Dave Canales, then Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen led an explosive offense, top 5 in both passing and rushing. And can Josh Grizzard follow that up? I don't know if he can do top 5 again, but can he at least do top 10? That's what the Buccaneers are hoping for. Tristan Wirfs is still not ready for this season. He's likely to be out for the first game, which could cause problems because the Falcons got some new pass rushers. They needed new pass rushers. I think James Pierce will be very good. Jalen Walker, I'm not so high on, but we will see. And that Falcons offense does look really good. Michael Penix had a strong end to last season. We will see if he can continue that into the early part of 2025. To me, this is a bit of a toss-up matchup. Yes, the Buccaneers are a strong team, but the Falcons, I mean, they are like on the verge of breaking out. They got to break out at some point, right? And divisional matchups can get weird, so I'm actually going to select the Falcons. It is a bit of an upset. It is the home team, and in my personal opinion, I think they split. I think the Falcons get this first matchup. Next matchup, we got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. I mean, like, these two teams are on opposite sides of the scale, in terms of offense at least, and defense actually. The Bengals have an elite offense, the Browns have a pretty good defense. Just the other sides of the field are atrocious. I mean, Joe Flacco is not the worst quarterback in the NFL, but I don't have high expectations for a 40-year-old. So, you know, if the Bengals manage to lose this matchup, I will be impressed. Then again, they like always start slow into the season. So I'd be impressed, but not necessarily surprised if they lose this, but I'm still picking the Bengals nonetheless. Next matchup, the Miami Dolphins versus the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, I'm not high on either team. The Miami offense is pretty good on paper, but I don't know. It's just felt off. Like, the vibes are completely off this year, and their defense is pretty atrocious. That secondary is definitely in the bottom of the league. They got Minka, though. Helps a little bit, but, I don't expect the Dolphins to stop many teams. And that offense needs to pick things up if the Dolphins hope to contend for the playoffs. I have low expectations for them. On the other hand, the Colts, I also have pretty low expectations. Do you really expect Danny Derps to be the next Sam Darnold? Not really. I mean, the Colts overall are fairly talented. They got a lot of good players everywhere. They got good receivers. I mean, I really like Tyler Warren. I think he could be like the next big thing at tight end. They got some good offensive linemen. The running backs, Jonathan Taylor, he's great. Defense, they've made some upgrades to the defense, especially secondary. I like the team overall, but I don't like a team when they don't have a quarterback. And I do not expect Daniel Jones to be very good either. But in this game, I actually expect Daniel Jones to be decent. Good enough. Because I think the Dolphins secondary is pretty bad, and I think he can tear them up. At least for 1 week, Daniel Jones will look good. For the rest of the season, I don't know. The next matchup we have is the Las Vegas Raiders and New England Patriots. Interesting matchup. I mean, I'm not super high on either team, but I'm not super low on either team. I think the Raiders could be competitive. I think the Patriots could be competitive. Potential wildcard teams here. Potential. Shouldn't really be expectations. It would be a very successful season if they can at least make it, but I do think they can compete for like that 7th seed. They both have new head coaches. The Raiders, Pete Carroll. The Patriots, Mike Vrabel. Similar things, like they're recycling old successful coaches. The rosters both have a lot of holes on them. In terms of QB matchup, I am higher on Drake May. Neither teams have great receivers, but Brock Bowers is really good on the Raiders. I just think Drake May can make his weapons work. Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson could be a very good 1-2 punch in that backfield. Hunter Henry's reliable, and Stephon Diggs, he's the only guy on the roster. Don't worry about the other receivers. But I don't know. I just have a better feeling about the Patriots this season rather than the Raiders. So I'm going Patriots here. The next matchup we have is the Arizona Cardinals and New Orleans Saints. I mean, you see the percentages here. It's pretty clear who the winners likely to be. Upsets do happen. I don't think this is going to be one of those upset games. Cardinals, I like everything a lot more. I like their quarterback. I like the receivers. I like their tight end. I even like their offensive line more. Their defense, I think, is sneaky good. It is a sneaky good defense, and the New Orleans Saints offense is atrocious. It's not even sneaky bad. It's just bad. Both quarterback options they have are pretty bad. I mean, the receivers are decent. Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. They are good receivers on their own. The problem is they are never available, and the best ability is availability. And unfortunately, the Saints don't have that ability. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers and New York Jets. A little revenge match for Aaron Rodgers. The Jets' tenure was a disaster. Let's be real. It was a complete, utter failure. I mean, he's old, and he was already showing signs in Green Bay. I don't know what people were really expecting when he went to New York, but he's on the Steelers. I, again, don't have high expectations for him or the Steelers. Arthur Smith is not a good OC. The Steelers offense is going to be very boring to watch. The Jets offense may be fun to watch at times, but will also likely make you want to pull your hair out sometimes with Justin Fields at quarterback. I get the Jets did not have that many options at quarterback this offseason, but Justin Fields, he's not going to be it. I have zero faith in him to throw the ball with any sort of accuracy. I think he will be successful running it, and the Jets may have a really good rushing offense this season. I'm sure Arthur Smith would have liked that, but he's on the Steelers. The Steelers are also going to run the ball. They have a single receiver worth anything, DK Metcalf. Maybe Roman Wilson does something, but I'm not expecting anything from him. This is going to be a very boring game to watch, but I think the Steelers, better defense, better quarterback. I think they edged the Jets out like 17-14. Next, we have the New York Giants and Washington Commanders. The Commanders are coming off a magical run last season. Making the NFC Championship with a rookie quarterback is unheard of. That's literally never happened before. The Commanders clearly have their franchise guy. The Giants, they're hoping they have their franchise guy in Jackson Dart. He's not going to make the start. Russell Wilson is. It's probably better for Jackson Dart rather than getting thrown to the wolves and probably failing like a lot of these other project quarterbacks. It's probably best he sits a year. Now, does the Giants regime have that kind of time? I don't know. But for the rest of the roster, Malik Neighbors, great wide receiver. There's nobody behind him. In terms of their backfield, Tyrone Tracy was a solid running back. Cam Scadaboo, we'll see what his role is. He missed a lot of training camp, so it's probably going to take some time for him to get going. Their offensive line, not great. Defense, secondary is maybe not amazing, but their front seven looks really good. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Abdul Carter is a scary defensive line. The Commanders' offensive line is not elite, and I think that defensive line of the Giants can cause some problems. Their offense, on the other hand, is not great. I think the Commanders will do just enough to win this game, but do not be surprised if this is close. And for our last 1 p.m. game on Sunday, we have the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The battle of the cats. The battle of the number 1 overall picks. The battle of the Buccaneers OCs. Call it whatever you want. The main interesting part of this matchup is what's Travis Hunter going to do? I mean, the Jaguars have him listed as a starting receiver and the backup corner, so it's clear he's going to play both sides of the ball. So we will see in what capacity he's playing both sides of the ball. Are they putting him in packages on defense, or are they just straight up playing him on both sides of the ball the entire game? If they do that, that is impressive. Don't know if it's wise, but it'd be impressive to watch. Both of these quarterbacks have something to prove this year, because if these quarterbacks do not show any sort of progress this year, their teams could look to move on. Maybe not the Jaguars quite yet because that contract, but Trevor Lawrence definitely needs to have a big comeback year after last year. If Liam Cohen can't fix Trevor Lawrence, I don't know who can. However, I do like Liam Cohen's offense better than the Carolina Panthers. I mean, just look what he did on the Bucs. The last game he played against Carolina, they blew them out. So I'm going to bet on the Jaguars here. Now we go over to Denver. The Titans versus the Broncos. The biggest storyline here is Cam Ward's debut, and he could not have drawn a tougher team. This is probably one of the best defenses in the NFL, and he's playing his first game against them. I mean, if he balls out, he balls out, and the Titans clearly have their guy, but I do not expect Cam Ward to look that good, especially since the Titans are pretty barren. They don't have a lot outside of Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley on offense, and their defense is actually sneaky good, but not going to be good enough against that Broncos offense. The Broncos offense is going to be pretty good. The Broncos are legitimately competing for the division this year. I'm selecting the Broncos to win at home. Now we're going even further out to the West Coast, all the way to Seattle. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. Another divisional matchup, and this is 50-50, mostly because we don't really know what these teams are right now. The 49ers have literally the easiest schedule in the NFL and could easily win this division just based off their schedule alone. I mean, it could be like a fraudulent 13 wins, something like that. The Seahawks, I don't really have very high expectations. I don't think the Seahawks are a bad team. I just don't think they're that good. I highly doubt Sam Darnold repeats what he did in Minnesota, mostly because Minnesota has a pretty insane offense. Minnesota had a better offensive line and better receivers. Now, the receivers looked good coming in with JSN and DK Metcalf, but one of them got traded and replaced with Cooper Kupp, who was not very good last year. I mean, he went back home, but I highly doubt he's going to be that good. JSN is going to be exciting, though. He's really reliable. If Sam Darnold can manage the offensive line, maybe he's got a chance against the 49ers because the 49ers have a pretty good defensive line, and that defense did get depleted a little bit in the offseason, but I still think it's going to be pretty good. And that offense, we're already dealing with a lot of injuries, but hey, maybe Christian McCaffrey is back. If he's back to 95% of who he was in 23, I mean, the 49ers have a great running back, and Ricky Pearsall was looking good in the back end of last year. So if he can continue that with the absence of Brandon Ayuk, that would be great for the 49ers. I'm a little bit higher on the 49ers this year, so personally, I'm going to select the 49ers here. Clearly, the public thinks the same way, but this game can go either way, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks win this one. Next up, we have a division matchup that can set the tone for the division race in the NFC North. The Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. I mean, the Packers made a pretty big move this week, which has caused a lot of people to say they are Super Bowl contenders. I am not on that train, but I do think the Packers are a very good team, and they are definitely contenders for the division crown. The Lions are looking to defend that crown. They lost both their coordinators, so it is to be determined how they will handle that. I expect a decent drop-off from last year. I think last year I wouldn't say necessarily overperformed, but I think they got to their ceiling. Not necessarily in the playoffs. The playoffs, I think, was a complete fluke. I think they could have gotten much further in the playoffs, but in terms of regular season, I think that was closer to their ceiling than anything. I think it's fair to expect some regression from them. It's a tough matchup that can go either way. Detroit's pretty healthy. For week one, the Packers at home, I'm going to give the edge to the Packers. Again, this is a matchup that can go either way. I'm just going to give the slight edge to the Packers in week one. They probably won't have Micah Parsons week one. I mean, he literally just got there. But I think the rest of their team is pretty good and can give the Lions a run for their money. And I do expect the Lions to get off to a little bit of a slow start with their new coordinators. And for our last midday matchup, it is the Texans versus the Rams. The Texans, I feel like they're pretty much the same team as they were last year. They did not really address any of the issues they had last year. Their offensive line is still bad, and their backfield is even worse now that Joe Mixon is likely to miss a significant amount of time. And I don't know if Nick Chubb has it in him anymore. I think it's a great story that Nick Chubb has fought his way back into the league, but after that brutal leg injury, I doubt he's the same player anymore. And the Rams have a pretty good defensive line. I think the Rams are going to give the Texans a lot of trouble. I like the Rams offense even more than the Texans offense. Yes, the Texans defense is very good, but I think the Rams also have a very good offense, and Sean McVay is going to find a way to expose that defense, in my opinion. Next up, we have the Sunday night game. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Buffalo Bills. This is a great Sunday night to start the season. A playoff divisional rematch. A game that came down to a drop. I mean, these teams are razor close, and this matchup can go either way. Personally, I favor the Bills in the AFC, so I'm going to give this win to the Bills. The Ravens are, again, a very good team. And as you can see with the percentages, this is basically a 50-50 matchup. And when teams are this close, it's hard to really say who's going to win. I'm just going to give the home team the slight edge in this one. And for the last game of week one, we have our Monday night matchup with the Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears. It's an interesting matchup to see what these teams really are. The Vikings, they have a new quarterback. Well, not really new to their team, but new to everybody because he was out last year. This is the game we finally see what JJ McCarthy is made out of. And honestly, if he's at least good enough to be a game manager, I think this Vikings team will win a good amount of games this year. That Vikings offense is pretty stacked. Jordan Addison is going to miss some time, and yeah, that could cause issues early on in the season, but you have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. I think that's plenty good weapons. Plus, you got a pretty solid backfield with Aaron Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. The offensive line got upgraded. The defense is pretty solid. The Bears, on the other hand, have their new head coach, so we will see how big of a difference Ben Johnson can make on the Bears. Can he elevate that Bears offense that looked not very good last year? I think he can, but the Bears have one of the toughest schedules this year, and I just like the Vikings a little bit more. This is a matchup that is, in my opinion, pretty close, but I'm giving the edge to the Vikings here. I think their overall team is just a little bit better. Kevin O'Connell has shown he can make it work with pretty much anybody at quarterback. Now, these picks are clearly perfect, and I will obviously go 16-0 this week. So we will check back in next week, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.